All right, cool. We're good to go.
Yes. Ready?
Yeah.
Yep. Club members, welcome. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's only been 2 weeks. We're doing good on this. Marky, how are you?
You know I'm getting through it.
You getting through it? You got your Auburn shirt, and then a wolf hat.
Yeah, I bought this hat in Joshua Tree.
So you're going to wear it no matter what?
It's one of those, like, it's a car hat where it's like you leave it in the back seat somewhere, and sometimes you're just like, I need a hat. My hair is a wreck. We're going
car
for
hat.
that one.
All right, you're kind of a chick then.
Oh, yeah.
All right. But chicks look good when they put a hat on. You ever notice that? You're like, baby, you look good like that.
At least it's like as long as we're past the snapback era, like they're not putting on like a Yankees fitted. It's probably cool.
All right. I like that. Mark is going to be on camera next week. We've negotiated with his agent, and finally I'm like, why won't you go on camera? So next week Mark will be on camera. He's still single, ladies. So you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
I'm going to be on camera in a full suit.
You wear a tuxedo. You're like, we had a hearing in our Compton case today, and everyone on there's like lawyer. Everyone had ties and shit. I had on a T-shirt, but it wasn't the Semper Mexico T-shirt. And so for clarity, welcome back, everyone. By the way, it's 6,100 subscribers. Not bad, killing it. But you guys are angry people. Some of you, at least. I will never wear the Semper Mexico shirt again. It's 3 out of 21. That's how many times. It's a cool ass shirt, and that's it.
That's really not that bad of a ratio.
That's not.
Yeah.
And people are angry and bitter. Stop wearing the red shirt. A friend of mine calls. He goes, "Man, put it away." It's like it's just had it on. That's all.
I think because last time we filmed 2 episodes, a little behind the scenes.
Still.
So I think it didn't help that it was like boom,
But
boom
still,
again.
People acting like I'm molesting Jake, my dog, dude. It's like it's a fucking. First of all,
who told him?
that wasn't on the video. It's a cool ass shirt though. I need it in blue or something black. That'd be cool. Gangster, So stop being so angry. No more Semper Mexico. I think it's discrimination, by the way, and it's fucked up. But you're forgiven because you're club members. So just another club member update. We did a hearing the other day, and the court reported this was, again, everyone in the room was a club member. Yeah. So the moral of the story is we're taking over the world. That's it. That's all. Yeah. All
right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Our work is done here. We've got work to do. We've got, I was regaling Mark about my cute little friend that I have who backed into a car. And so she called me like 2 hours ago crying, saying, "What do I do?" And so we said, you kill the driver of the other car, set it on fire, and run. Because that was the only option.
Yeah, it's like Rambo.
Yeah, I mean, or you could just give them a little note on the car and say, "I put a little teeny rubber thing on your car. I can't. They saw me." Well, see, that's why you put that on there. Mm-hmm. That's all. We're just solving world problems.
Put the note on there. Wrong number.
Yeah, that's it. But by the way, this was my point, and this is a difference between men and women. For men, it doesn't even register about stopping. We're like, we didn't really do anything. Just leave.
No, I think my fear is like the longer I stand here and think about it, the more likely something bad happens.
Right, and if there was a reason to stay, your head would have said stay. No, you just keep going. Mm-hmm. You keep going. Eliminate the risk. That's all.
They're shooting people nowadays. I gotta go.
Run. You just run for no reason. I'm just running. Why are you running?
Your car?
I gotta go. On a related point, it's really not, but it's my only segue. So I love this show. It's called it's Peter Santenello. It's petersantenello.com. It is a white dude, and he does this travel show. Mm-hmm. But it's not really a travel show. He goes to different communities, and in those communities, he does these amazing interviews. And the first time I was watching it, he's a very Caucasian dude, and there's an awkwardness about him. But the more you watch it he's just sincere. And so he does all these amazing shows. Like the first one I saw, It was on the Hasidic Jewish community in New York.
Oh, interesting.
And it was riveting, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it was riveting because I was like, you have no ideas. And, and every community is different. And I want to remember this dude's name, but there was this Jewish brother, man, and he was great. But he was a Hasidic Jew, and he was making clear that, at least from my perspective, from our perspective of the show, is I'm watching and going, man, this is interesting as shit. We are more alike than we're not. Even if you look at an Orthodox Jewish community that has very specific reasons for separation and things like that, commonality wise, it's still this premise of, man, we have so much more alike than we have in differences. And one thing Peter Santenello does is he brings you into that world, and when you start looking at it, you're like, I see this more. I understand this. This makes some sense. He did this other show on Saudi Arabia, on women in Saudi Arabia. And I'll just say this because I say it all the time. The problems involving the Islamic community are, I think, extraordinary. And part of that is there's just a lack of reformation, and Islam just hasn't ever been reformed. I mean, you look at Catholicism, we've been reformed like 50 times. We're still fucked up. So think about Islam, where there's been no reformation, and there's a lot of issues that I think make it difficult moving forward. But Peter Santenello did this piece on Saudi Arabia, and it was, again, it's one of those things, wow, man, this is kind of normal, man. Normal people trying to overcome bullshit, crazy government stuff. He did a thing 2 weeks ago on LA's most dangerous neighborhoods. And so the white dude is sitting there he's in Nickerson Gardens, Bloods, Crips. And, man, I was watching and going, man, this dude, what he does is amazing. It's uplifting. It also speaks to the broader multicultural thing. Our existence together, our commonality lets us do things. Peter Santenello goes into areas and he's not concerned because he's been there and he's seen that, and it's that commonality of existence that puts us in a place to do things different. And one of the things he did, long ass segue, was he did this one on the Amish Mennonite communities.
Oh, interesting.
And dude, I'm watching this, and they had there's this statement that this woman made, and she said that they're not necessarily different from everyone else, but they have made a choice to create their own community. They've decided to live by these standards, and that those standards are what define them, not our standards. And I was listening to that, and it hit me that, my goodness, that's what we can do. That's what we should do. We're at this point where we've been pushed into this false dichotomy where we literally are arguing about science. Yeah. And again, on this show, we don't get into a bunch of politics and stuff like that, but there are things that we should get into. This country right now, we are debating whether it is we should be a country based upon laws or based upon science even. Laws are subject to certain interpretations. Science should not be. A friend of mine's brother died of COVID, white dude. Yeah. I mean, but it's how this COVID thing and this non-vaccination thing has spread. And when it's all said and done, we as a whole, the broader community, we're being controlled by 25% of people who have chosen to be hate-filled and anger-filled and just resentful. And so when I was watching this Mennonite show that Peter Santenello did, and I said, and when that lady said, we choose to live in this environment that we've created, I said, that's what we can do. I mean, this multicultural thing, and again, because I'm king of the multicultural verse, we've got that coming up, by the way. I have new multicultural verse stuff. But I realize it's like, what I'm really proposing, what I'm saying is that this world where we live, how we've grown up, it can be our world. We can be tolerant. We can be not even tolerant. We can be interested in people's opinions. We can look at people and say, man, I hear what you're saying. It makes some sense. But I don't agree with it. But you know what else? I don't hate you. Yeah. I don't think we should destroy our country because you don't agree with me. It's our right. It's their right to say, I don't want to get vaccinated. I guess you can do that. Yeah. But their hatred and their anger and their animosity, that doesn't have to be us. It's like, I'm just watching this Mennonite thing again. It's like they're choosing to be this community. Well, why don't we choose to be this community? This community that says, hey, we're going to do what's best for all of us. We're going to be kind and respectful and receptive, but we're not going to do dumb things.
Yeah.
This fringe, and here's the multicultural side of it. There are plenty of dumb African Americans and plenty of dumb Caucasians and dumb multicultural people saying I'm not getting vaccinated. So it's multicultural. We have some equality, but those people saying that, it's utterly idiotic. It's disturbing that they are literally, their choice is killing people. But we as a whole, we can't be in this middle thing, this multicultural verse, and we can say in the multicultural verse, guess what? We're going to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. That's the thing, is the right thing. You could be on the right, you could be on the left, you could be Republican, Democratic, white, Caucasian, whatever. The right thing is still the right thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still the right thing. It's like in the Civil War. It was the most horrible time, and yet the majority of America said, I may not be for African Americans or this or that, but the right thing is to not be for slavery.
Yeah, and they weren't even like, I like African. It was still like, I don't really get down with y'all, but this is not cool. Doing this to other humans is not okay. But we're not going to be friends.
And that's a perfect analogy. Not only that, it's like we don't even it's very clear that Abraham Lincoln seems to have thought African Americans, not if they were subhuman, he thought they were intellectually inferior. They were not out there. Now, some of the amazing abolitionists were great, and they're like, people are equal in this and this. Mm-hmm. But what you just said, and that's really important. They weren't saying, man, I want to be in a multicultural family. It was like,
come marry my daughter.
Yeah. They were like, don't come near my daughter, but I'm not going to do this because it's morally wrong. And that's what's so crazy about this whole vaccination thing is, and it ties into just this group of people, and it began with Trump, but there was this other thing, and I think it's just feeding into Caucasian unease, but it was this tying into this fear and this anger and this hatred, and that has taken over, and now we're at a point where people are literally saying, we don't believe in science.
Yeah.
I mean, that's extraordinary.
Yeah, I think this is one thing I actually thought about while I was editing the last podcast when we were talking about kind of the shifts as multicultural people becoming the majority and the largest growing leader as far as the census goes, is like as groups become minorities, some of the beliefs that aren't so healthy become even stronger.
Sure.
And so there's certain things where it's like, hey, I don't necessarily love this about some of the Caucasian community.
Right.
And as that begins to become more like hardened and smaller and tighter, and those beliefs come a lot stronger. And I'm definitely afraid of that. But
that's one of the reasons why one thing I say is, if we begin reaching out now saying, if you're Caucasian, it's okay that you've lost this position, because that's just statistics. But that doesn't mean that opportunities aren't there. That doesn't mean people are going to be unfair. But that's my point about multiculturalism. We're uniquely qualified to say, listen, this person who's Caucasian should not be treated worse because they're Caucasian. Mm-hmm. Where we are from, we're more capable of saying that than anyone else. And we should be trusted more with saying that. But with that comes a responsibility. And part of that responsibility is saying, hey, you can't be mean to that person because of his or her race.
Yeah.
But it's this cool thing that we have, but it's also true. I look at a lot of these Trump people, and I feel empathy. They're just afraid. Donald Trump exploited their fears and their concerns. Here's the thing that you should be concerned, or we all should be concerned about. This economic disassociation, this changing people's position in the world, it's going to get worse. Mm-hmm. AI is going to eliminate 40% of all jobs. 40%. Some say in the next 10 years, it's probably the next 20.
Yeah.
40% of all jobs are going to be gone. That is going to create this gigantic economic vice, and that's what people are going to use to exploit each other, to exploit us. That's why this multicultural verse is so important. Is let's get ready for that.
Yeah.
Let's look at it and say, let's reach out to people and say, listen, guys, we don't have to be this. We don't have to be anti-science. We don't have to be, we don't have to be controlled. We can create our own community. We can say, we're the controlling force, but we're also going to be the moderating force. We're also going to be the moral force. If you are a multicultural person and you sit there and you watch someone be attacked racially, in this case, it's going to be Caucasians or Asians, which is more and more. We have an obligation to say, don't do that. That's not what we're going to be a part of. This is our fucking world. It's our world. It's coming. It's here. It's now. I mean, you look and see what happens in the world on a daily basis and the number of multicultural people involved. We're at the heart of it. The question is, what do we do with that? What do we do with that when we get it? And my point is let's say, listen, we know who we are. We know that because you're a certain race or another doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make you bad or good or anything. We know that. We get to say we've seen it. We're all together. We're together. We should stop people from doing it. It's again like white exceptionalism or white privilege. People are so shitty. Dude, white people are afraid of losing white privilege because it's a privilege and it was good. And guess what? It's scary now. We could say it's okay.
Yeah.
Because it's happening. This is the other part of it. It's happening no matter what. We can reach out and we can set this world where we have understanding. We can do that now. We can begin to find that now and come up with a way where people feel involved and are respected, or we cannot do it. But it's fucking coming. I mean, it's the winter is coming. The winter is coming. This idea there, because there are plenty of people out there saying the opposite, which is, what we need to do as white Caucasians, we need to arm ourselves and we need to do this. And there are African Americans saying that that's happening too. And again, I'm advocating that we should work together because it's going to happen against us. But that doesn't mean we can't have this huge, beautiful place where all we're saying is, hey, we're going to respect each other. And in America, they divide people based upon race, and they've done it forever. The only difference is we're calling the shots as multicultural people. Mm-hmm. We're not going to let race divide us. We're not.
Yeah. And that's the other thing, too, is as the lines of race fall away, because even within multicultural people, like I'm like more 50-50 than most that are multicultural.
Right.
So you're going to start to have people that are more like, all right, I'm fourths,
right.
I'm 16ths. And as it just becomes like, I'm just a human, then that's when you have to face the other issues of division. So being super focused on like black and white and Asian and Jewish and like these hard lines, like as those things begin to soften and we become more of just like a people group, then it's going to become like economic equality,
right?
Like neighborhoods versus neighborhood, like
but
different things like that.
But the segue to that has to be through us, because here's the truth: is that there will be a disenfranchising or a disassembling of entities.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, it could be ugly. And my point is that these other groups have defined themselves. We have to define ourselves too, because when yes, we may get to this point down the road where yes, people aren't looking at race anymore. I don't think that's coming. I think it's coming. There's always going to be race. There's always going to be differences. My point is that multicultural people, the multicultural verse is the fastest growing segment. It's going to be the biggest segment. Let's us take this mantle and say, good, we're in charge. We're going to put in some new rules. New rule number 1 is if a black guy runs his mouth and he's an asshole, he's just an asshole. If a white guy runs his mouth and he's just an asshole, guess what? He's just an asshole. You can just be an asshole. It's not because you're white and an asshole. It's just you're an asshole. And what we should do is say, listen, man. Now, if you want to be shitty toward us, then that's a mistake, because then we're going to respond. We should reach out and say, again, with me, I hire multicultural people. I ask everyone, because everyone else does it. Which, by the way, brings up, I was talking to a friend last week about our show, and he was saying, man, dude, what you're saying about multiculturalism, it's discrimination. I'm like, you own a construction company, and I've been to your job sites, and there's nothing but Latinos. Nothing but Latinos. And I'm not mad at you, but I'm just saying, when you people, not Latinos, but groups of people who criticize what I say, you guys are okay when it's you guys. But by me saying I just hire multicultural people, it's something bad. So you guys can, I guess, not say I'm just going to hire Latinos and just hire Latinos. Mm-hmm. That's I guess it's less. That's disingenuous. I just say I'm going to hire multicultural people. I just am. But it was funny. But that's coming. There is this racial element, and people can say there just is. We as multicultural people are uniquely qualified to process that, and because there are differences. Yeah. But we are the ones that can say, well, we're not going to attack people because they're Mexican or Latino or they wear a Semper Mexicano shirt 3 times a week.
I'm looking at you.
But here's the other thing, and there's a real danger. I was this, and again, we don't attack Donald Trump because we don't care. But this thing that I'm talking about getting rid of reason, about abandoning things that we know to be true. Gina Haspel, she's the director of the CIA. She did this thing. She said that she thought that we were heading toward a coup. And then Mark Milley, the Joint Chiefs of Staff chairman, said he thought Donald Trump was losing his mind. These are not the most liberal people in the world. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the director of the CIA, and they're making these comments. And then Tucker Carlson says that he thinks Miley was, quote, he was a danger to our country. What Miley said is we need to make sure that Donald Trump doesn't launch a war with China. Not just a war, a nuclear war. Yeah. And so he puts...
We don't really do like war on foot like that.
Yeah. I mean, war is fine. Nuclear war is a different issue. And so this guy did this because he was worried. And instead of us stepping back and saying, this is important, that he did that, he gets attacked as being an enemy of the state. And it's this idea of us moving away from common fundamental beliefs. That's what's happening. Yeah. It's again, this January 6th thing, I'm less concerned about the rioters as I am about the elected officials who knew it was going to happen and facilitated it. The people who are out there rioting, being angry, again, they're confused. They're angry and they have something to say. I get it. Mm-hmm. When you have congressmen and senators saying, oh, nothing happened and it was fine and they had on bulletproof vests, that's the problem that we run into when we allow other outside groups to define our community. It's back to this Mennonite. We can choose to say, we're going to lead this and we're going to be a participant and we want you to come along, but there are some basic rules. Like we're not going to propose situations that involve trying to kill the president of the United States or the vice president. We're gonna do this crazy thing in a democracy and say whoever wins the election, we're gonna respect it. And that's the risk that we run by not having our own community, by not emphasizing what's important in our community, by not looking out and honestly saying, do we want to be a part of this, anti-science, anti-facts, anti-law? Do we want to be a part of that? Is that what we want? Do we want when a general says, Mr. President, I'm not going to order nuclear war because you're upset? Do we want to be a part of that in attacking that person? It's amazing. It's disturbing. And it's something that we're not going to do. And that's part of this whole show is I'm like, listen, guys, the winter is coming. It's coming. These people are saying this, and then those people are saying that. And then there's us saying the normal stuff, the reasonable stuff. I'm just saying that we have a responsibility, and that has to involve saying, wait a minute. You can feel one way and you can feel that way, but at the core, we believe in science. We're not going to relegate 680,000 people to die because someone says we shouldn't use a vaccine. Yeah. Because they say you can't tell me what to do with my body. But you just 2 weeks ago passed a law that said a woman can have an abortion if she was raped by her father.
I thought as far as some of the my body, my choice stuff, I've been on different sides throughout history. Just like coming up in a very conservative background. Sure. But I thought it was really funny to start to hear the people who were hating people saying my body, my choice, say my body, my choice.
But you know what's funny?
It's like, guys.
But you know what's funny is it's like it's been this. It's like with some of these ministers. And again, I'm as religious as you believe. My favorite line is, "Religion isn't God." And I listen to these ministers. There's this. Was it one of these crazy ones? Is Don Baker, who said, "You can't wear a mask because God can't hear you if he can't hear you pray if you're wearing a mask." I'm like, okay. All right, I'm here. I'm going to draw the line here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, God is stronger than a mask. But you know what I mean? Jim Baker. I'm like, who would listen to this crazy shit? And it's because people are making decisions not about facts, but about personal concerns and fear. But there are ministers out there saying, don't get vaccinated. Same ministers are saying an abortion is wrong. You can't. It's one of these things. If you think a person's body is not theirs to control, then it's not. You can't have it both ways. And it sounds dumb. Lead with some integrity. Let's be a community that says, if we, the other perfect examples is these states that want to outlaw abortion, and they lead the nation in death penalty cases. And there's a direct correlation between states and death penalty rates and the conviction rate for pedophiles. States with the highest conviction rate or death penalty cases have the lowest rates of conviction for pedophiles. So I'm like, what about if you're killing someone for this? What about fucking children? How's our boy? What's his name? The NFL dude.
I couldn't tell you.
Dude, someone texted me the other day. They're like, that dude is fucked up. I'm like, I'll tell you what's fucked up. No one else has said anything about that.
Yeah.
Nobody.
That's the weird thing with the NFL is like a story will come out and then it's gone. Disappear.
Woo. I mean, this dude was banging 12-year-old boys. I don't know.
You can't say banging. Banging sounds too cool.
Oh, yeah, dude. And it almost sounds like there's consent. He was raping 12-year-old boys. But I go back. This was the person who was talking to me. They said, how did their parents let them do it? Because they're fucking idiots is why. Because their parents are fucking idiots. Yeah. Could you imagine, hey, I'm going to take Calista to a hotel room. Yeah, and no, you're not, because I'm going to shoot you in the head as you walk out the door with are you crazy? I'm taking your 12-year-old boy to a hotel. No. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you? I mean,
that's the thing with sports parents and stuff like that. It's like, I'll give anything.
Oh, man, that's horrible to think. Yeah. God damn. On a brighter note, on the king of the multicultural verse note, woo!
All hail.
Leylah Hernandez. You don't know who she is, do you?
No clue.
U.S. Open women's champion, tennis Open champion, club member. Her mother's Filipina.
This is the Canadian one, right?
Yeah.
I watched her.
Canadian because she's hot. Did you see her at the Met Gala?
No, I watched her game with Naomi Osaka.
Did you? Well, at the Met Gala, Leylah Hernandez wins on both fronts. She beat Osaka, and then she was banging hot at the Met Gala.
See, there's a good use of banging.
It feels better.
Yeah, my soul is at rest.
But she looked great, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, how great is this? What else do you need us to do? Multicultural verse. She walks in, wins the U.S. Open. She's part Filipina, part Ecuadorian, and she's multicultural as can be, and she's the U.S. Women's National Championship. Ta-da! And then a week after that, Russell Wilson just has the most unbelievable game, only to be followed by Patrick Mahomes. It is the multicultural. We're doing everything. Everything.
Yeah.
How much time we got? Did I go too long?
Oh, no, we're only at 30.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, but that's what I still want to talk about. That's it with Leylah Hernandez, though, huh? She's great.
Yeah, it was actually really crazy to see watching her play and her composure as an 18-year-old as well.
That was crazy. It's extraordinary. She talks about how her dad has taught her groups of things and her mother taught her things. I'm reading this thing and I'm just like, this is my point about multiculturalism. You have your Filipino mother teaching you this, and you have your Ecuadorian father teaching you this.
Yeah.
And guess what? You end up with this person who you're watching going, how is she so fucking calm? Mm-hmm. How does she have it together? And you look at example after, I was watching Patrick Mahomes, again biased, because he's a chief. He's not a king, though, is he?
No.
He's a chief. I'm better than him.
In some territories.
Yeah, I'm still a king, and he's just a chief. But I'm watching him, and his ability to improvise, like him dropping down to the side. And
that is the most impressive thing.
But again, it's this multicultural thing, because you learned, it's like you and I are talking about being successful as multicultural. Here's the answer to success. If anyone wants to know, work your ass off. And being multicultural, it's like you talk about your experience. It's the same as mine. My parents just work. Don't give me shit. Just work really, really hard. Yeah. And so I'm watching Mahomes, and it's like this dropping down. It's, you know, I'm getting this. I'm working this out. I'm finding an answer. I'm finding a way to resolve this. Yeah. And which is my favorite Callista line, where because I always say to her, solve problems. And so last year I'm in my room, and I can hear her, and she's talking. And I kind of listen, and she's like, where were the Paleo Indians? And I look around the corner. She's doing her homework by Siri. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's I'm doing my homework. I'm like, well, you said solve problems. I'm solving the problem. I'm doing my homework. I'm like, okay. Okay. Dropping down, he solves problems. Leylah Hernandez, she was amazing. It's this thing. I'm going to do this list. We're going to come up with this, and this is the start of it. But just the multicultural, just people listen to me. When you watch the news, the number of people who are multicultural doing it, it's amazing.
And there's always an agenda to push them on a side. Or like, that's the thing too. 100%. Like you have guys where they're not always like you have a guy like a Tiger Woods. A Tiger Woods, he made his decision on what he wants to do. No slight. It's what he wants to do. That's fine. But then you have guys like, we're not looking at like a Dak Prescott as a biracial person. Right. But Dak Prescott is the same makeup as a Patrick Mahomes. Right. Or like stuff like that where it's like, but you don't, there's always a side pulling to advocate for somebody versus just letting them be. But that's
my point, is why we have to advocate for us.
Yeah, there's got to be there.
Because if someone doesn't, then they get separated. The one that drives me crazy is hearing people say, well, I remember reading this article, and it was an Asian and an African-American girl, and she was saying, yeah, but I'm more Asian. And I remember watching her just going, that's not good for you. And B, why would you tear down your own heritage? This multicultural heritage thing, it matters. Yeah. It matters. And so that's what we have to do. That's why we have the multicultural verse, is we need to do that. Mm-hmm. I found out today one of the greatest, this guy advises the NBA players and all this stuff, and he's a real money manager, club member. He's African, Caucasian wife, beautiful interracial kid. I'm like, this stuff we have, dude, it's going to be, when this takes hold, it's going to be incredible, because the reality is we get to reach out, and it gets to be people like us, and it's so diverse that you don't even know. Like, we were taking a deposition. Judith Steffi, who owes me a bunch of money, who I love, she's a very Caucasian woman, but she had pointed out to me 2 weeks ago that she has 2 little kids and they're multicultural. Yeah. And so we're taking this deposition. I said, we're all multicultural. She says, not me. I'm like, no, you are multicultural. That's the whole point. Mm-hmm. It's that experience. It's that. Yeah. It's bringing people into this universe where you go, oh, you know what? That sounds fucking stupid. How do you know? Well, because I got a kid or a grandkid, or my stepchild is this, and just from that experience, I kind of know what you're saying is asinine. Yeah, you know.
And that's the thing too, as like world travel and as borders kind of fall as what they used to be, of like, no, it's so easy now. If you're like, I'm going to go to Canada, I'm going to go to Europe, I'm going to go to here, and I'm just like, you could just move somewhere and be fine. So with those things, being so close-minded racially, of just like, I don't really know anything about anybody but my group, it hurts.
It hurts, and it's dumb, and it's stupid, and it's really...
You're missing out on so much.
The world, dude. I mean, the world, it's again, Leylah Hernandez. It's like, I'm like, man, Ecuadorian and Filipina, and it's just this whole gigantic world of experiences and exposure, and it's just there, and it's waiting. And it's exciting. But Judith Steffi, pay me my fucking money. That's the Fletch cast. Thank you. See you guys next week. Woo! That's going to be good.
Yeah.